Hi everyone. We are going to be watching the movie Belle, which tells the story of Dido Elizabeth Belle and the Zong massacre. So this presentation is some background information. I am going to ask you to take some notes. So let's begin. Quick summary of the movie. It is inspired by the true story of Dido Elizabeth Belle, who was the illegitimate daughter of a Royal Navy captain, Sir John Lindsay, and a young Black woman named Maria Belle. Dido Elizabeth Belle was raised by her aristocratic great-uncle, Lord William Murray, who was the first Earl of Mansfield. And as his niece, Belle's lineage affords her certain privileges, yet the color of her skin prevents her from fully participating in the traditions of her social standing. Belle falls in love with an idealistic young vicar's son who is bent on making the world a better place. This is a picture or partial picture of a portrait painted of Dido Elizabeth Belle. She was 43 years old when she passed away. She lived from 1761 to 1804 and was raised in a very aristocratic family. Here's a picture of Kenwood House. This is where she lived with her great aunt and uncle. Her great uncle was the first Earl of Mansfield. So he was the Lord Chief Justice. That would be like today's Supreme Court Justice. And William Murray presided over several court cases that examined the legality of the slave trade. So we don't know where or how Dido Elizabeth Belle's parents met, Maria and Lindsay, but during 1760, his ship, the HMS Trent, was sailing around the coast of Senegal and the Caribbean. Based on records, it's believed Maria was around 15 years old when Dido was born. In 1774, Maria traveled from England to Pensacola, America, to take possession of a plot of land that was gifted to her by Lindsay. This is where she was to build a home. In the Pensacola property record, Maria is referred to as previously being enslaved, and now in 1774, she is free. Lindsay fathered 5 illegitimate children by different women. Dido is the eldest, and it was not unheard of for a powerful aristocrat to be the legal guardian to an illegitimate relation. Dido was raised with her cousin, Elizabeth Murray. Elizabeth was 1 year older than Dido, and the two had a very close relationship. This is the full photo of Dido and Elizabeth, and the portrait of the two women is highly unusual in 18th century British art because it shows a young Black woman as the equal of her white companion rather than a servant or slave. Dido's aristocratic upbringing is apparent in her silk gown that she's wearing in this painting, as well as the pearl necklace. Art historians have noted that it's not just the color of her skin that marks Dido as different. The basket of tropical fruit she carries and the turban with expensive feather shows that she, or suggests that she is exotic from her more conventionally styled white cousin who's sitting reading a book. So Dido lived at a time when the transatlantic slave trade was at its height and British economic prosperity relied on slave labor in the Caribbean and Britain's American colonies. Public opinion about the practice of slavery was changing, and in summoning up at a trial in 1772, Lord Mansfield is recorded as describing slavery as odious, but as Lord Chief Justice, he had to adhere to a strict reading of the law. In his will, he made sure to protect his niece's rights, clearly stating that Dido was a free woman. Lord Mansfield died in 1793. So the Zong massacre. So the ship, the Zong, left Africa in August of 1781 and was carrying 442 enslaved Africans bound for the colonial plantations of Jamaica. So the ship was completely overcrowded, carrying more than double the amount of people a ship its size could safely transport. By November, many of the slaves were dying from disease and malnutrition. Running low on water and a longer than expected journey, the crew voted to abandon some of its human cargo in order to ensure the safe delivery of the rest, believing the shipping company could be compensated under British law. Over the course of several days, the crew threw at least 122 Africans overboard. The Zong arrived in Black River, Jamaica, with 208 enslaved people on board. James Gregson, the ship owner, filed an insurance claim for the loss of his slaves. There was a trial. This began in March of 1783. Gregson argued that the Zong did not have enough water to sustain both crew and the human commodities. The insurance underwriter, Thomas Gilbert, disputed the claim, citing that the Zong had 420 gallons of water aboard when she was inventoried in Jamaica. The court found that the insurance company was liable for damages, so the insurance company was ordered to pay Gregson for the slaves he threw overboard. 2 months later, the Chief Justice overturned the decision because of new evidence. You can imagine that the impact of this trial was significant. Formerly enslaved man and abolitionist Ulata Aquino told the abolitionist Granville Sharp about the Zong affair, and this led Sharp to explore the possibility of having the crew tried for murder. The crew was not held accountable for the murders, but there were charges. Sharp and Aquino's efforts to publicize the story built a lot of momentum for the abolitionist movement. The publicity surrounding the Zong massacre and the first case led William Murray, the Earl of Mansfield, and the Lord Chief Justice of the King's Bench, the highest court in Britain, to order a second trial. Mansfield presided and ruled in favor of the insurers. So the first ruling was overturned. He also held that the slaves had been poorly managed, as the captain should have made suitable allowance of water for each slave. The Society of Friends began the campaign against slavery, and the Society for the Abolition of the Slave Trade was founded 4 years later. Parliament outlawed the Atlantic slave trade in 1807 and abolished slavery throughout the British Empire in 1833. So both Belle and this case are the focus of the movie. My expectations for the movie: you are not to be on your phones for any reason. Okay, you are awake, you are watching the film, you are not talking throughout the film, and you are completing the worksheet that goes along with this movie. If for any reason these conditions are not met, we will forego the movie altogether. Okay, too often students use movie time as time to play on their phones. Please do not do this. This is a great movie. It is based on a true story, and it relates to the book very much that we will be reading. So sit back and enjoy. All right. I will see you on Monday.